if you're using the jig, you're here. If you're not using the jig, I use this person again because my tendency with this is to come this way.
Have a downhill cut.
Yeah, and if you do a downhill cut, just like Barkley said, what you're going to do is get a little valgus.
I'm just gonna put that right there.
So when you put the jig on, you never use the bars that Barkley
No.
always used to. I mean, how
No.
many people kept doing
I don't even know if anybody does. Do you use the bars?
The bars that
holes
go
are
onto
there,
the
bars are
metatarsal?
laying there.
Yeah,
Yeah, people quit using those real quickly.
I know.
Yeah,
they're just cumbersome and they seem very arbitrary to me.
yeah.
No,
So
you just
when I put the saw blade on here, I want it reasonably perpendicular to the collateral. Now that's still going to
To the
slope
D1.
down just a little bit. Yeah, at D2.
D2. I mean.
Yeah, and you notice if you're not using the jig and you're in the right position, the saw blade, or even if you're using the jig, the saw blade doesn't contact the bone
No.
anteriorly there. If it does, you're sitting like this. So same thing with the T-pillow.
Is that a 24?
That's
This is a
21.
21. These saw bones, so use a 21 on the saw bones. They have a very prominent crest, and so if you use an 18, you won't exit.
Okay.
So use a 21 on these saw bones. I'm going to angle a little bit to get it started. Maybe. That's why I like an inline saw better.
Oh, I know.
I'll try to get this going here in a minute. And remember, it's a full rotation. You don't have to go fast, but it's a full rotation like that. All right, we're going to start
When
with
you
that
say
point.
full rotation, you just mean make sure it's coming out both sides.
Yeah, yeah, make sure it's coming out the front and the back. Yeah.
Not bleeding yet.
Okay.
That looks pretty good.
That's not
You've
bad.
done that a
Not
few
bad,
times,
not
haven't you?
bad. So we're gonna mark and on these we're gonna say a rotation of 6 millimeters. You can use Osseotone.
I think that's 6 millimeters.
That's 6. So I put my top mark posteriorly, and then I put the other mark right there. Yeah, there we go.
You
Why
gotta
do you
rem-
mark after you cut instead of before?
Do what now?
Why do you mark after you cut instead of before?
You don't always know where your cut's
I don't
gonna
know.
be.
Okay.
It's like sometimes with your cut too and the chatter, you know,
What
just
do you
making
use
sure
when
you're
you're
happy.
using Osseotone?
I
Then
use
I'll also
Osseotone
make
and
sure that I
cautery.
like where, at this
To
point, I'll
burn
take
the
my
cautery
plate
so I
and
can
make sure
take in a
it fits
small
on there,
little hole
because I'm not
Oh,
necessarily
is that
gonna
right?
let it
Just a little
until.
teeny hole.
So, yeah.
And then I just
But that's a
put
good
cautery
idea,
in
but I
and
don't
just
always
fills
it
with
chatters.
it.
Yeah.
But it makes a little circle of dark, you know, so you can
Yeah,
see.
you can see it, yeah. And the same here, this is just makes a linear
Yeah.
dark line with the cautery.
I can hear.
So we've done that. We'll complete our cut here. If I can get that back in there. Got to hold that right there, Pike, if you will. Am I still okay, Pike?
I think so. Stop 1 second, right about there.
Okay. And, you know, as far as getting your marks aligned, and Chad has said this, Chad Andrews up in New York, he said when you cut it, it almost wants to go line up your marks.
You don't need a rod very thin.
So what I do now at this point, I'm gonna, let's turn it up this way just a little bit. What I'm gonna do is I'll take my blade, if I can, let's pretend. I'm gonna come up here alongside the patella tendon, and I'm just gonna make a little vertical incision right alongside the patella tendon. That allows me then to take the point of the pin and move that tendon over a little bit. And I'm aiming for this corner right here, about a centimeter below the osteotomy. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this pin, okay? And I stop at that point. Now I pull my gauze out. I don't pull my gauze out until I've set the pin, just in case you get the nutrient artery. Remember, it'll bleed on you, but once you turn it, it'll stop. So now I take that out, and the way that you want to turn this is just like that. I just grab the ankle, put my hand just below the osteotomy, and just turn it like that. Now, I'm gonna hold it in position. Go ahead, Pike. While my assistant drives that pin. See if my aimer was okay. Yeah, okay. That's where I want my pin to come out.
And are you
It's
feeling
okay if
behind there?
it's okay, but if you come out in the middle here, you can't feel it because of the concavity and the soft tissue there. So I want to be able to see the point of that pin so I can see the end of the screw when I check it, make sure it's not.
That's
too
why I
low.
was saying the VOI diagram showed it's coming out right in the middle there.
Yeah, I know.
So,
But don't pay any attention to them.
It's not the end of the world if you're out in the middle, but you
No,
can't feel it.
you
right?
you just can't feel it. And again, I've never seen the screw cause a problem. Sometimes you'll see my films, I forgot to check the length, and it's sticking out about that far. And Gary Olds in Texarkana, after 6 years, I finally got him to start checking the length of the screw. So, now we're gonna shoot a second pin. Remember, we're gonna over drill this one, so we're gonna shoot a second pin here. And this second pin, I'm gonna turn him up that way. I'm gonna come right at the insertion. Now you need to diverge these just a little bit. You don't wanna come this way because you don't wanna come out the same hole, right? So I'm gonna diverge this pin just a little bit.
Right through your tendon.
Yeah, at
Right
that
at,
point,
right at
yeah.
the insertion.
Insertion.
Yeah.
At that point, it's not quite as bad. It's not gonna wrap up on you.
You see they came out at different spots. So now we're gonna over drill the top one.
So,
Really cool.
Right.
What size key wire?
that's an
These are
060.
062s.
And this is a 3-2 cannulated bed here. That's all right, we'll get it back. Now, if there's
All right.
anything I can tell you too, make sure you get that transcortex and don't stop short of it.
Don't put your hand back there, even if it's on outside the skin surface, because sometimes that drill would drive that pin through the skin. So don't put your hand back
So what
there.
we saw does happen. In
Yes.
other words, the pin is being punched through.
It can, yeah. So you're gonna take that pin out, you're gonna measure the length of screw that you need.
What was that other device that Synthes has, that for measuring the length of the screw?
Oh, it's, if you use their K-wire,
Yeah.
because it has to be the right length K-wire, it slips right over the K-wire, and it's a depth gauge along
Okay.
here that will tell you. It's, Synthes, it's only about $1,500 or something like that, so,
It's all about precision.
yeah.
46.
So we're-
Alternatively, we're at about a 46.
We're saying 46, okay? So Pike, you'll load that up, put that K-wire back in because it's a cannulated system and everything, that K-wire is gonna guide everything.
was that 46 exactly on your depth gauge?
Yes, yes. And you're still gonna wanna check it because you're measuring from here to here, but when you countersink that head, it's generally not too long. But if you were to put a 48 or 50 in, then that screw would be sticking out about like that. Where's the compression sleeve? So here's, here's the system again. And we have a cannulated screwdriver here too. So what you're gonna do first, you're going to take the screw and thread it into the compression sleeve, just like that. Then this is the compression sleeve handle. That will go over the K-wire. I'll try to, you wanna cut that, Pike, so it's not in your,
That's all right.
you all right?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna screw that in. She's got a bad thumb.
Your guts. You're so mean to me.
Now, see, it's not compressing. It won't compress until the sleeve hits the bone. and I don't know how well it'll do on
Yeah,
this.
I just
Yeah,
don't,
we'll-
I didn't
we'll-
wanna
No,
over.
you can see it
See, it's
compressing.
compressing there. So that's what I do. I just watch the osteotomy. Again, that's cancellous bone, good blood supply, contact everywhere, compression. It's gonna heal very quickly.
Where's the other
Here's a screwdriver. Now look at the screwdriver. You have 3 lines. The green line is when the screwdriver engages the head of the screw. The yellow line, the head of the screw will be flush with the bone, and that's where I go. The red line, the head of the screw will be sunk beneath the surface of the bone. The problem with that is if you ever want to get it out,
Yeah.
it's of course more difficult to find, if you can find it.
And it doesn't add any more compression.
What's that?
It doesn't add any more compression.
No,
Put it in
Just
no,
hides it.
not at all. The compression is with the sleeve. Now you're just gonna, it's like a position screw now, it's just gonna maintain that compression. Now importantly, notice she's holding the sleeve. You have to hold that sleeve or you won't disengage the screw when you screw it in.
Yeah,
So she's
see,
gonna go to the yellow
That's the
there.
same struggle.
I don't know if it's spinning on you or what.
It's actually doing fine.
Is it doing okay?
Just-
Sometimes the soft bone,
Yeah,
that
that's
bone,
just
that's
disengaged there.
probably good enough right there, Pike.
Yeah, so yeah, just make sure you hang on to this. It's easiest when the tray's not in the way.
And then you pull that out.
Nice job.
And then you can see with the screw there, and that's where I like it, that's an ideal position. I can really see it and feel it pretty easy. So if it's sticking out too long, I just take those little pin cutters and cut it right there.
Are you worried about the stair step?
Oh, here. Oh, good point. Thank you. With the TPLO, there's a stair step. The distal cortex rides proud relative to the proximal cortex. Remember? And Barkley used to take that saw and shave that off. Of course, nobody does that anymore with locking plates. This is the opposite. Opposite cut. The proximal segment is proud relative to the distal segment. Okay? And is that what you're talking
Yep.
about? That step right there. And you want to see that. It goes there automatically when you turn it. Don't try to anatomically reduce it. I'm not sure if it's a big deal. Tom Turner likes to get his anatomically reduced. I don't think it's a big deal, but it goes right there, so just let it go there. Let's cut this off for a minute, Pike, if we can.
Like with the TPLO, you want cranial and proximal distal compression. On this, the compression screw just does all the compression you need.
Yep, all the compression. At this point, I take the jig off, because this is nice and stable now. Get it out of your way. Right here.
Oh, thank you.
You can get those little caps. What are the caps we use at A&M?
Yeah, the little banana caps.
Little banana caps to put over the pins so you don't scrape your glove on those pins all the time like I do.
Now, the stair step that Dr. Barron is talking, where, are you talking about this right here?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, this right there where you,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, opposite of a TPLO.
Yeah.
Dr. Halls, my technician finally took the ends of the 25 gauge needle and just put them on both of the pins, so I wouldn't keep breaking my glove.
There you go. I always forget.
I mean, they were sitting right
I'd rather
there.
change gloves 10 times.
So these like little syringe caps, or not the syringe cap, but the needle cap.
Yeah, it works great.
That's what happens.
Right?
So in some of the comments that have been made, well, when you do this, you're creating a patella baja. Well, you're going to get the presentations. If you see a patella baja, let me know. You just don't get it. I suppose if you over-rotated and brought this way down here, you'd get a patella baja. But the average rotation is about 7 millimeters, wouldn't you say, Pike? Something like that.
Yeah.
So and it's going over an arc. So if you do the geometry I did one time, for every 3.5 millimeters, you drop it down 1 millimeter. So 7 millimeters, you're going to drop the patella down about like that.
If you had like a patella baja, like on radiograph, but prior to surgery, would you consider another stabilization?
If I had patella baja,
Prior, yeah.
I'd probably do it like a patella luxation. What I'd do, let's get a plate. Get a small plate for me, will you, Kyle? If you're doing a patella luxation, remember we had the K-wires in. And this is where I said if you're doing a patella luxation, I might use a TPLO plate because the footprint is smaller than here. This is a 3.5 small. there's a 3-5 standard, so the plate's gonna sit on, just like that right there. Now, what you would do with your patella luxation, you'd put this plate on, you got a little K-wire to hold that plate?
Oh,
These,
yeah.
these plates have little holes in them, the VOI plates do, and so you can, I think it's an 03. It's gonna be.
3.5.
What-
Is that an
And
03?
what I'll do, I'll come back at this point, and I'll stick needle in the joint again. The other thing I'll do is take a needle, and I don't know, is this the other needle here? Did you
Yeah.
have two open or just
We
one?
did, I set one over here to keep jabbing in there.
Hey, that's a catheter.
Yeah,
Don't use that.
we can pretend.
Yeah.
Not really.
That'd be all right. The other thing I do is I stick one of those 18 gauge needles back here. Because I know where let me turn that way. I know where the joint is, I know where the back of the bone is. Because I want this plate to sit back towards the back, like such.
You can also use a hypodermic needle in one of
Yeah.
these holes too, if you.
So do you have any problems with those cortical screw holes being in contact? Did you have to, I mean,
The cord, say that
yeah, in
again,
other
Paul?
words, you only have one locking in the distal 3 screws. Are they all locking?
Well, these two are locking
Oh, those
distally,
two are,
and these
okay.
3 are locking proximally.
Okay, all right.
So then, in my first hole is gonna be this DCP hole. Now, one thing you need to do, remember you have that second K-wire in there. I'll generally take the drill bit of the drill and I'm gonna do that. Because this sometimes gets in your way. So I'm gonna do that. And you don't have to compress with this hole because you've already compressed. But I wanna miss that pin, so I'm gonna go to the top of that hole. You wanna shoot that pipe?
Yeah, do you wanna?
Shoot that up at the top, and you might even angle it a little bit, but that's gonna be right between them two.
So you just vary where you drill it depending on that pin.
Mm-hmm.
I see in the VOI, they do the top 3 full holes for dynamic compression, but here, it doesn't make any difference, does it?
Kind of like TPLO, people do it
They
differently.
have a video?
They show the top 3, they do the top 3 holes and then they use the dynamic compression hole, but I don't know if you can compress it much further.
No, it's
'Cause
kind
they-
of in theory, no.
Yeah, like it's already compressed.
It's compressed as much as you're gonna get it compressed.
Do you
yeah.
like damage the surface?
No, I don't
Maybe
think
compress
so.
it more now.
No.
I'm
If
just gonna
anything,
put
you
a
might
screw
strip
in
the
there.
screw.
True, yeah.
Oh, that's a locking screw. Huh. Oh, here's one.
You have the standard cortical there?
Yeah, there's a standard cortical. They're mixed in.
We won't put this plate on all the way because you guys know how to put a plate on.
Mhm.
This is a 3.5 small. I think these pitties, it looks like they would take a 3.5 small. There's a 3.5 standard there too.
And of course, depending on if you have self-tapping or, I didn't tap this just because it's a sawbone, but
Well, these are self-tapping.
Yeah.
Did you go as far down to 2.7
Mm-hmm.
on the pit?
On a pity? Probably not on a pity.
Yeah.
This 3.5 small really fits good on a pity. I would say 2.7, maybe a 20-pound dog, 25-pound dog, something like that. So from here, and we won't waste your time doing any more screws in here. What we would do, I generally put a lock in here, and then I come up here and lock these. If this plate is sitting off because of buttress, I'll put a cortical screw here first and push the plate in a little bit. Then lock. You can take that cortical out and replace a lock in there if you want to, or just leave the cortical in. Now, as I said, we're generally doing a tension band. This hole of the 062, basically same diameter as the 2mm drill bit. So I'll take that out, put a, do you have anything like that? Pipe? I don't think we have a 2. Kyle, do we have a 2.7 screw?
We have all the instrumentation, but actually I'm looking for the screw right now.
why would you want the screw?
Go over what you do if there's, because a lot of dogs I operate on huge medial buttresses. I mean, they're almost sometimes 5 to 8 millimeters
In which
thick.
case, you may have to contour the plate a little bit. If it's-
Did you ever remove the buttress?
No, I don't
You never
anymore.
have?
I do.
No,
I do from time to time, but they bleed like crazy because they're so
Yeah.
vascular. So I think Dr. Pulse's point of contouring the plate, and just being mindful
and,
where
and
it screws are.
use a cortical screw up here, Paul, and just squish it to the,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never done that.
yeah, just squish it in there.
I guess I do need to pull that out first. Let me go ahead and pull that out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was just
sometimes
gonna
you just
stall it.
leave the pin and use it.
yeah, sometimes, like on a
Especially
pity, a
small.
small dog, I may just leave that pin. Now, fill it back here. Make sure it's not sticking out too far. Now, I don't know, well, we don't have any 2.7s, do we?
No, you don't. I was
Well,
just kinda-
why don't you do it with a 2.5 and let's put a 3.0, a 3.5 in. You can,
That's a
particularly if
2.8.
you're not gonna use a tension band, go ahead and put a 3.5 screw there instead of a 2.7 with a tension band. Good size position. No. Is that a
It's
3.5?
It's a 2.8.
No, I want a 3.5. A
Oh.
2.5 drill bit,
We don't have
3.5.
2.5. That's
Right there, you
2.8.
have a
Oh,
2.5.
I thought these were self-tapping.
Drill that.
Okay. Where'd it go? There it is.
Right
Let me
there.
Just do that.
I'm gonna move my hand because you're probably gonna go for it, I would imagine. Her aim is pretty good.
So you do have,
Yeah, just depth that if you will, Pike.
Yep.
Go ahead, Paul.
you have smaller, of the headless screws you can use.
Yeah.
Use two of
Yeah,
those.
you can use a 3.0.
Okay.
Mhm. It's a 2 millimeter drill bit, and it's a cannulated system also. So you can do this in lieu of a tension band, but
Is there
I
some way
would,
you can stop the pin from poking out like it was here?
any way you can stop it from doing that?
Yeah.
Take a
Just
Holman
feel
back
it.
there, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose you could put a guard back there of some kind.
Not a finger.
Not a finger.
It's not good to put a finger back
Yeah.
there.
What are you looking
I
for?
was just gonna see if we had a power driver.
Has a finger
Probably not for
somewhere.
that.
I was using it.
Pin both of his fingers together.
I would like to have a fingernail. I was using my buddy's saw and
Do you tighten down your tension band before you place all your screws?
No, I do the tension band at the end.
I just pulled out, put a new glove on, and I just kept going. Worked.
And that's actually interesting. This is not involved with as much of the plate, so you do get some, you can see the compression there with your tension band.
The other thing I'll say, and we talked about this, notice how that slopes down anteriorly here. It does two things for you. It gives you plenty of bone stock up
See
here.
that, or if you want to put another plate on there.
Oh, you could, yeah, you could put another 2-hole plate up there if you wanted to. And, and particularly with a big dog, a big Dane or a Mastiff, just put a little plate up there.
Right up against that screw.
Did you
All
hit
right.
that screw?
Mm-hmm. We're just right to the side of it.
And I was using a 3.5 screw with the tension band initially, but you get the wire underneath there, and it's a 20 gauge wire. Now, if you use the screw by itself, not the headless compression screw, you can do a screw and a tension band. It's 18 gauge wire. I used to use 20 gauge wire, and this is before I had a headless compression screw. That wire would break. So using 18 gauge if you're going to use it by itself. If you're using it with headless compression screw, 20 gauge is fine. I did have one break. So if you wanted to use a tension band, you drill a hole here and just put it around the head of the screw.
But you said you'd use 18 here if you weren't using a headless.
If you weren't using a headless, I would put a screw here, a 3.5, and use 18 gauge wire for the tension band. Again, that quadriceps pull is just enormous.
So this step, and just review, this step that I'm seeing here, you see that a lot because that's just the anatomy.
Yeah.
And every.
Yeah, that's just nice. And you want to check alignment, just like you do,
Yeah.
just like you do with everything else. Once I rotate and put the pins in, before I do anything else, I'll put him up like this and check that I have patella crest and calcaneus in the same line. So then
And
close him
then
out.
you have a little lip that sometimes comes over there?
Yeah,
It-
yeah,
you
sometimes
just
some-
leave it.
Yeah,
Heals.
and I like to leave it because it heals so quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you rotate, it'll impinge there if your cut didn't go all the way through, or if
Yeah.
it comes down too much. Some people like to take rongeurs and just crack it. I just rotate it. When it impinges here, you'll get a little gap, almost like you saw with
Well,
normal
I was gonna
rotation
say.
here. When you put your screw in, it's gonna close it. So I'll generally leave it, but again, some people like to just take rongeurs or something, just crack it and move it out of the way.
Do you have to take the tension band out very often?
No, no. No, I would say no. Oh, but the headless compression, if you ever have to take it out, and I've had to take maybe, didn't have to, but, or maybe I did have to, I can't remember, but I've taken a couple of them out. So what you want to do, and that's going to be covered by scar tissue and tendon. Well, you know on your radiograph just about where it is, right? And so I would take the blade, wherever my scalpel handle is, I don't know where I did it. Oh, it's
right
right here.
there.
So you know just about where it is. You're going to make a longitudinal incision. Now you're going to go through the edge of the patella tendon again and all that scar tissue, and you can feel the blade on metal. And once you feel the blade on metal, then just take an elevator, just kind of move that tissue over out of the way like that. Take the, we have a K-wire here,
Yeah,
pipe.
of course.
You can see the head of the screw. Take an 062 K-wire, drop it down into the cannula. Then you take your screwdriver over that and get it down there. I take a mallet and just tap it so it engages very well, and then you just back it back out. So pretty easy to do. The key there is two keys. One is to make that vertical incision. You can feel metal on metal with the blade and the head of the screw. Move the tissue out of the way a little bit, drop the K-wire in, and then drop the screwdriver over the K-wire.